Chapter 1. The story begins with a small girl clutching her worn toy, quietly making her way down a darkened path. She stops before an old house, windows faintly glowing from within. Inside, a married couple is seated at their modest dinner table. The wife, glancing at the clock, urges her husband to finish eating as it's already quite late. He reassures her, saying they've dimmed the lights for only a short time ever since strange shadows began creeping through the city streets. She sighs, longing for the day they might have a proper meal together. One without this ever-present unease. Then a sudden knock breaks the stillness. The woman tenses, surprised that anyone would visit at this hour. She moves to the door, peering cautiously through the peephole. Standing outside in the dim light is a young girl, her face pale and solemn, a note nailed to her forehead. The husband thought that this child was lost, and it was impossible for the girl to walk alone at such a late hour. They decided to let her in to spend the night. At first, the woman did not want to do this, but out of a feeling of pity, she still turned the door handle. She shouldn't have done this because at that very second, the girl's eyes changed and she attacked the lady like a wild animal. Morning breaks and a film crew stands outside a high-rise reporting on the strange attacks that have terrorized its residents for days. The camera captures the somber removal of 2 bodies from the building. One of the victims, a woman, wore a bracelet that was found cracked, hinting at a desperate struggle. Police warn citizens to stay indoors at night and to immediately seek help if they witness anything unusual. The scene shifts to a nearby facility for exceptionally gifted children, where young students hone their skills as shinobi. In one of the dorms, a boy wrapped snugly in a blanket holds a slipper to his ear, as though it's a high-tech communicator. With a serious expression, he announces, "This is Dun Dun Wo, protector of peace for all earthly inhabitants." From the slipper, a crackling voice urgently informs him that Earth is under threat, invaded by mysterious creatures. Dundon's face lights up with determination. Grinning, he springs to his feet, and in a grand gesture, unbuttons his shirt like a superhero, proclaiming, "This is a job for a true hero." Suddenly, he jumps off the sofa and lands in a superhero pose. The orderlies who were watching him were simply shocked by the boy's action. The nurse asks Shen Tiju not to run away while watching TV. He tries to warn that he needs help, but no one answers his slipper, and the boy understands that, as always, he will have to act alone. The boy knows that if he does not gather all his strength into a fist, humanity will be destroyed, and like a true superhero, he opens the doors and is going to fly away from here like Superman. But of course, he doesn't have superpowers, and all he can do is wipe the asphalt with his face. Everyone who was playing in the yard at this time thinks that a party has begun, but our main character is clearly not in the mood for fun right now. Evening had already come, and the boy was lying in the first aid station, covered in bandages and scratches. Suddenly, he wakes up and strikes the air. Who even dared to knock out the legendary defender of planet Earth? Someone said that no one knocked him out, and our hero thought that it was the fat man who decided to laugh at his incredible strength. But suddenly, some unprecedented thing leaves the boy's body, and it was she who was talking to our hero all this time. It turns out that the guy had the great honor of being the assistant of the great ghost and becoming the chosen one. Apparently, he did a lot of good in his past life. For strange reasons, the ghost lost his body and needed a person with a powerful mental aura to recover, and so he met our blonde. He has powerful spiritual energy, and the ghost chooses him as his personal servant. Of course, the ghost will not use the person for free. He will receive the power to resist evil spirits, but it seems our hero does not listen to him. Suddenly, he takes out his slippers and hits the ghost, telling him not to let this annoying mosquito interfere with him absorbing the energy of the moon. The ghost clearly doesn't like this. How can this non-entity refuse such a great honor as becoming his personal slave? But suddenly, the flying ball hears some strange sounds. Something is going badly for someone. There is a terribly loud scream from the next room. Apparently, again, someone decided to start repairs at 3 in the morning. The fat man asked our hero not to push. He also wants to see who there is so badly wanting to repeat the songs of Lana Del Rey. Suddenly, we are shown some kind of thing that is slowly crawling through the ventilation. Her face was similar to the face of the lich from the cartoon Adventure Time. Our guys in a stupor cannot understand what kind of nonsense this is. Has a new girl really come to their hospital? She is somehow too strange. The ghost says that this is the soul of a drowned woman who died in cold waters at midnight. All the restless souls go hunting, and she wants to devour them. The guys ask this new girl why the hell she decided to go wild in the middle of the night. Now it's their quiet time. Didn't the nurse warn her? Suddenly, this thing starts attacking them, and our ghost screams for the guys to close the door and dodge it. But she turns out to be not as simple as it seems at first glance and simply goes through the door. Our hero understands that the matter smells of frying because this creature is really going to finish them off. The dead soul attacks our hero, but he takes off his slippers and is going to take revenge for the fact that she stayed in his bed. Tomorrow, our boy will be on duty, and it will be he who will have to clean up all the trash that she made, and he hits her with a slipper right in the face. The power of the slipper turns out to be enormous, and the lady flies off into the corridor. The boy doesn't care whether she's new or not. If she came to their hospital, then let her be kind enough to obey the established rules. The girl gets up again, and our hero is terribly angry. He's going to teach this fool a lesson so that she will be obedient like a tame puppy. He puts on the face of a real Sigma and orders this woman to immediately wipe the floor that she is dirty. The lady is already shaking in fear and does not know how to fight this abnormal person. Apparently, his psychosis is much stronger than otherworldly forces. It turns out that all this time, our hero was being watched by a camera, and everyone was amazed that he defeated the restless soul with his head and hands. Since the ghost is now completely subordinate to his will, the fat man tells Church to look at his dirty socks, and our hero agrees. This guy's name is Joe Igo, and he is the head of the department. It seems he burst into tears because he found such a gifted guy. He decided that tomorrow morning they would go to a psychiatric hospital. He simply could not miss such a talented boy. Chapter 2. The scene shifts to a quiet hospital room where a young boy, the main character, rests in bed, deeply asleep. Just outside, Dun Dun Wu, still wrapped in his blanket like a hero's cloak, speaks urgently with Dr. Li Ching Zan, the hospital's head doctor, trying to arrange a meeting with the boy. Dr. Li gives a wary nod. "Of course you may see him," he replies, "but be prepared." The boy is unusual. He glances at Dun Dun's improvised uniform and lowers his voice. "But keep in mind that your attire might startle him. He's had a few strange experiences lately and might feel unsettled." Despite this warning, Dr. Li leads Dun Dun into the boy's room. As they enter, Dun Dun and Dr. Li are both taken aback. They hadn't expected a half-awake, unassuming kid to be the one who took down a second-level ghost. The doctor gently shakes the boy, trying to rouse him. "The officers need to speak with you urgently," he insists. But the boy merely mutters and rolls over, clearly lost in what must be his seventh dream. The policeman still admires the fact that the boy can defeat ghosts and hopes that he is exactly the one he has been looking for so long. Suddenly, our boy wakes up and begins to fight with the doctor. Since yesterday, a strange voice has been heard in his head, and he thinks that this is the work of the doctor. Now the police themselves see how difficult it is with these patients. He probably didn't even understand when yesterday he encountered the ghost of a drowned woman. One of the girls thinks that the guy has a split personality and only becomes strong when he comes to his senses, but the second one thinks that she watches too much anime. The lady comes up to our hero and says that she is from the police department for fighting ghosts. Does he remember what happened last night? Our boy clearly heard everything the girl said but could not answer her even a single word because she was an incredible beauty. But suddenly, our ghost friend activated and decided to check on the girl. She had too much contact with the cursed energy, and now she has a breast disease. The boy suddenly shouts out that something is wrong with the girl and is going to conduct an examination like a doctor, but she just jumps aside and says the kid is too weird. What the hell is he even doing? The chief doctor grabs the guy by the shirt and asks for forgiveness from the police for him. There's not much difference between guys and girls. That's the kind of person he is. The police officer abruptly joins the conversation and cannot understand what the hell is going on here. Is this guy really just an ordinary psychopath who accidentally defeated a level 2 ghost? As they step out of the hospital, Dun Dun turns to Dr. Li with a question. "Did you notice anything unusual about the boy?" he asks, half expecting a normal response. But Dr. Li just sighs. "Unusual is our normal here. Every child here has some eccentricity or peculiar condition," he replies. "That boy in particular, he's constantly running down the halls, using his slipper like a telephone, loudly declaring he'll protect us from alien invasions." The scene shifts to the hospital canteen where Dun Dun sits pondering the day's efforts and wondering if his interest in this talented kid has all been in vain. Just as he considers giving up, the boy suddenly bolts into the room, eyes wide with excitement. "My favorite meat's on the menu." He shouts to his imaginary headquarters in the slipper. "Send reinforcements. More meat." Dun Dun watches, torn between amusement and bewilderment, but then a chill creeps over him. The room seems to darken and an eerie whisper fills the air. The ghost he battled before might be gone for now, but tonight he's learned the ghost of the drowned woman is set to return, and this time she'll be targeting them both. He takes out his Harry Potter wand and summons a talisman that drives out evil ghosts. The guy is clearly shocked by such special effects because of the talisman. A piece of meat falls from his head, and he panics. At this moment, the ghost realizes how difficult it is to work with idiots. He rolls up the gifted talisman like a roll of toilet paper and throws it straight into the police officer's soup. One of them gets up and begins to loudly catch and look for the one who did it, but the boss tells him not to make a mountain out of a molehill. After all, they are in a home for sick children. The boss says that the ghost of the drowned woman does not feel pain and therefore Chino didn't do much damage to her. They'll ambush her tonight and catch her. This guy clearly likes this idea and asks to rely on him in this mission, but the lady doesn't seem to like this idea. It's time to prepare for the capture, and the boss asks his assistants to be careful with the equipment. This healthy box will be tediously placed at the entrance, and they need to move because they have very little time left. Meanwhile, Chino, as always, creates chaos, and having decided that it's summer, decides to take a little swim. The nurse tries to calm him down, but the guy is having too much fun lying on the grass, imagining that it's a swimming pool. Suddenly, the fat man picks up a sweaty sock from the floor and decides to smell it. No matter how strange it may look, the chief of police notices this, and what he sees makes him shiver. Everyone in this hospital has really gone crazy, but he is clearly not going to give up. His path to promotion is thorny and long. Time passed, night came, and the ghost of the drowned woman again appeared on the threshold of the mental hospital. But this time, the spotlights did not illuminate. After looking at the cameras, they realized that the girl had not come alone and brought her partner to her aid. The chief of police begins to shake because he realized that before his eyes is one of the 10 most dangerous ghosts of the city, a drowned man. The barrier of sunlight will not help against him. He gives the order to bring reinforcements, and the second group must protect Chino. He blames himself because he was too naive. He was going to invite our hero to celebrate the search for the ghost of the drowned woman, but now the situation has changed. The policeman asks Chino to apologize and prays that the boy remains safe. Only after stepping on the border of the barrier of light does the body of the drowned girl begin to melt, and her partner does not understand what kind of nonsense this is. Suddenly, he starts creating a tailed beast bomb from the Animirudo. Then he shoots it, and all the spotlights are destroyed in an instant. Meanwhile, ghosts are already wandering along the hospital corridor in search of their prey. Rose sat in his room like an obedient boy and meditated, feeling the approach of evil spirits. Chapter 3. He makes a satisfied face, a sly grin spreading across his features as he declares that finally, these damn creatures have made their grand entrance. The air is thick with tension, anticipation crackling around him. Suddenly, without any warning, the door explodes outward, sending splinters flying through the air right in front of our hero's astonished face. Two grotesque, evil swamp creatures crawl through the wreckage, their beady eyes locked onto him, intent on claiming his soul. But without hesitation, without a moment's thought, he springs into action, charging towards them like a true superhero ready to face his nemesis. His heart races as he glances down the corridor, desperately searching for his partners from another planet. The main headquarters had announced that today was the day they would send a team to pick him up from this strange and hostile world. He could almost feel the anticipation bubbling inside him, a reminder that he wasn't alone in this fight. Meanwhile, the strongest ghosts, powerful beings that had long ruled the shadows, stand in complete shock, utterly baffled by this little human's audacity. They cannot comprehend why he seems to ignore their dark presence, why he charges forward with such reckless abandon. It is a blatant challenge, one they did not expect from someone so small. In a moment of frustration, he quickly grabs a nearby slipper, a rather comical weapon in the face of his monstrous foes, and attempts to contact the main headquarters for assistance. But to his dismay, there are no reinforcements coming, only silence. This unexpected turn of events raises even more questions for the bewildered ghosts. Out of anger and desperation, he hurls the slipper aside, his mind racing with suspicion. He can't shake the feeling that these swamp creatures must have done something to his comrades, preventing them from reaching him. The drowned man is tired of this whole circus, and he decides to scatter his aura throughout the room and finish off the boy as quickly as possible. Our little ghost protects the hero from attacks by creating a barrier. No, Chino just swears at him, saying that he ruined everything again. Suddenly, police officers appear and begin to shoot at these evil creatures. Over the radio, the head informs them that this ghost is much stronger than the ghost of the drowned woman, and they need to be careful to save Chino. The policeman reports that there are no losses on their part. They have arrived at the scene and are already waiting for further instructions. But the ghost of the drowned man really turns out to be not so simple, and simply begins to fire at the police with his aura. The guy thinks that the end has already come for him because it is simply impossible to dodge such an attack. But suddenly, help appears with shields and saves him. An arrest must be made immediately. This drowned man's aura can decompose anything like acid. They need to be careful not to fall under his attacks. Suddenly, he makes a huge number of attacks with his aura, and all the guys with shields fly off in different directions. The almost completely perfect squad asks their captain to be careful. Meanwhile, the boy was left alone with the ghost of the drowned woman, and our hero was clearly upset about something. His only means of communication with the command post was destroyed by the acid of that ugly ghost. How can he now call for reinforcements and leave this damn planet? Suddenly, he turns on his superpowers and says that he will kill all these damn creatures. Our little ghost understands that now it will be hot and boring to increase the strength of its carrier to the maximum. The boy jumps on the ghost of the drowned man and creates a technique, the Fist of the Scarlet Flame of the Golden Master. In a split second, the ghost gains second cosmic speed and flies off into the stratosphere. He clearly doesn't intend to stop there and accumulates aura in his leg by doing a move called the Buddha Power Kick, and now our main character finally took revenge for damaging his slippers, that is, the phone for contacting the command point. Crow takes out the very talisman that expels evil spirits and wants to use it for its intended purpose. The drowned man kneels in front of him and begins to apologize. This surprises our hero a little. Can ghosts really feel guilt? But it's too late. This creature has done too much bad, and there will be only one punishment for him: death. The first enemy was exposed, but there was still one small infection left that was involved in this crime. Our ghost congratulates us on our first kill, and soon we will receive a random reward. But it seems that Chino has no time for that now. The ghost of the drowned woman crawled into the corner and shook with fear because her strong partner was no longer with her. But instead of finishing her off, he starts running all over the hospital and panicking because he has lost his only means of communication and will not be able to return to his planet. All this time, the police captain was watching what was happening and was simply shocked that our boy looked like a Marvel superhero. The next day, in the chief doctor's office, he was already shouting that he was going to take the boy out of the hospital and start training him. But unfortunately, the doctor refuses the policeman's request. He simply cannot allow this to happen. As the chief physician, he is obliged to take care of the safety of his patients. Yes, yesterday something terrible happened. The entire ward was destroyed and the children were scared to death. The police captain understands that this old man is not so easy to convince, but the chief doctor says that he will soon be transferred to new wards. The guys walked around the yard and shared their impressions of the ghost attack. They were all bald because of that acidic aura of the drowned ghosts. Their heads looked like chicken eggs. One of the boys still had a whole eyebrow. The captain understands the chief doctor's worries about the children, but he must also understand him. The department with more ghost hosts simply needs a talent like Chino. The policeman begins to sob and complain about his terrible life and management, and the chief doctor tries to calm him down. He gets hysterical and says that even though not everything is all right with our main character, he is incredibly strong and can help them save civilians. Suddenly, a policeman bursts into the office with a broken arm and is shocked by the picture he sees. He informs the boss that trouble has happened again. An emergency has occurred in the southern region. Again, there was an awkward pause in the room due to the strange AC of the police chief. He quickly pulls himself together and asks what happened and where. It's highly likely that a family of 7 will be murdered in the southern region tonight. The captain doesn't understand where they got this information from, but the dude points to a strange girl who was a killer. Tonight she will definitely appear again. The action moves to the courtyard, where the police chief was sitting on a bench, depressed. The guy with blue hair was very interested in why the hell he was sitting here and doing nothing because night would soon fall. He remembers the doctor's words. He agreed to give the boy away, but everything is not so simple. He is mentally ill and may not agree to go with them. Other police officers tried to bribe him with sweets and a police uniform that would make him look cool, but for him, it was like a game. Our main character has repaired his slippers and is trying to contact the headquarters. It seems to him that stupid people are spying on him. The captain is already desperate because at this rate he won't be able to catch him, and the blue-haired guy shouts for the boy to calm down immediately. They don't have much time left, so the main character must listen to him very carefully. He puts his finger out like a gun and is going to threaten this guy. The guy with blue hair raises both arms, even the one he broke, and experiences terrible pain from this. Our main character is going to find out all the information from this idiot. Who the hell sent him to get close to him? But suddenly, Chino starts laughing at this guy because he is literally shaking with fear, but he denies everything. The chief of police made a decision. First, they would drag the boy to the southern district, and there they would sort everything out. A whole squad of policemen attacks the psychopath to contain his incredible power of madness. Chino thinks that they finally showed their true colors and decided to attack him with the whole crowd. Our hero is being carried tied to a stick like a kebab. He is clearly not going to calm down. Where are these freaks even taking him? One of the policemen takes our psycho into the room and carefully puts him on the ground. At that very second, he begins to threaten these guys to let him go. Do they even know who he is? But suddenly, the police captain calls out the code name of our main character. At that same second, the guy's face changes and he becomes terrified of this policeman, but he gets into an epic pose and says that he is his partner, who also arrived from another planet, and his code name is Dunan Chai. Chapter 4. Our ghost appears and begins to untie the boy from the ropes. Suddenly, Senra gets up and starts talking nonsense in an alien language. Maybe this is a greeting or a secret password. Before they left the hospital, The head doctor warned him that he was making up all kinds of nonsense as he went along, which meant that there was no right answer. The captain decides to improvise a little and find out a random salute like in the army. Maybe it will work. There was an awkward pause in the room and our main character wondered what to do next, but he simply extends his fist in front of him and greets his fellow man. He has finally managed to find a connection with his planet. The captain was incredibly glad that this fool actually believed in this nonsense. They both beat their fists and are happy that they both managed to achieve their goal. The captain reports that Ferreno has a special task. The inhabitants of the planet are in danger, and you will have to kill all the damned ghosts. Our hero salutes with joy and says that he will definitely carry out any order from the captain. A guy with blue hair runs into the office and says that they managed to detect traces of negative energy. Most likely this is a killer girl. The captain leaves his office to determine the exact location where the ghost girl is hiding. Shino decided to observe how the senior in rank works. It's simply incredible that he leads stupid people in his undercover. But suddenly, the attention of our psycho was attracted by a strange figure on the table. While the boy was looking at the figure, the captain said that the killer girl had a lot of victims and therefore safety came first. The main goal for today is to determine the level of negative energy of this ghost. I'm afraid that its strength has long surpassed all their capabilities. The boy was still making a fool of himself while the adults were deciding very important issues. As soon as they returned, they would need to report on the suppression of evil spirits. But suddenly, our ghost appears again and tells Chianov to stop acting like a dumbass because danger was very close. All the police officers panicked because the source of negative energy suddenly began to approach, but our main character thought that it was the chief doctor who had come for him. Chianov rarely gets up and walks towards the unprecedented energy and says that he will never give in to this evil old doctor. But when he opened the door, before his eyes, there was only a little girl who looked extremely harmless. But the ghost clearly didn't buy the fact that the girl looked very cute. She already had 17 victims and her negative energy was simply prohibitive. We needed to finish her off quickly, and our main character, as always, behaves frivolously and begins to ask the evil ghost if she has seen an evil old man in a white coat. The girl was a little perplexed but still shook her head to the side. Chino asks her to think carefully before answering, but she once again replies that she didn't see anyone on the way here. Our hero thinks that the ghost who wants to help him is an enemy in his head, and therefore he trusts the girl. This makes our ghost assistant very angry. Suddenly, the girl hands the guy a teddy bear and asks him to play with her a little. The bear clearly looked not like it came from a beauty salon, but as if it had been peeled. From what he saw, the guy's face became distorted, and he began to look like dried grapes. Without thinking, he simply hits the bear, saying that he looks just terrible, and the bear flies far down the corridor. This clearly angers the girl because it was her favorite toy. But the main character simply takes her hand and asks her to come inside the house. Now ghosts are walking outside, and it's not safe here. The police officers clearly did not hope for such an outcome, and watching everything on camera saw a guy walking with a ghost and asking to feel at home. He says that plush toys suck and are generally a thing of the past, and now he will show her something really interesting. Suddenly, he takes out from his pocket a figurine of a ballerina that he stole from this house and shows it to the girl. Shino sat down with the girl on the sofa, and they began to watch the ballerina spin while the police appeared in the corner and were trembling with fear. The boy wanted to close the curtains to see if the ballerina could glow, but the girl simply snapped her fingers and said that there was no need to do this. Our hero praises the little girl's special abilities and says that he also has superpowers. He can become invisible. The girl said that the boy was a real liar and did not have such an ability, but he decided to prove her wrong, after which he begins to rush around the room like a crazy person who has been thrown a blanket over him and says that he is an invisible man. But the girl is clearly tired of this stupid game, and she says that she clearly sees this idiot. Shino is a little embarrassed that his ability did not work, and he is thinking about how he can change the situation. Suddenly, the police come into the room, and our hero asks if they see him. Of course, they played along with his madness and said no. All the police were afraid to move because they had a special-level ghost sitting on their sofa. All they could do was just sit and watch. Suddenly, he grabs the girl and starts poking her right at the police chief to prove that he really can become invisible. At one point, the police were not contained and began screaming like little girls. The girl's appearance changed dramatically, and she became an incredibly frightening ghost. Chapter 5. The captain lost consciousness from what he saw, and his partner tried to bring him back to consciousness. Shino began to carry the girl in his arms and rejoice because their super trick worked, but suddenly the main character notices that iron nails are sticking out of the girl's body and asks her about them. She tells him what her curse is. In addition, there are 5 more wooden nails on her body. The boy gets angry and promises that he will definitely punish those freaks who did this to her. But the girl says that her parents did it, and they are already dead. Shino finds this very creepy. Our hero wants to help the girl get these nails because she is experiencing incredible pain, but she says that it is impossible to pull them out. But the boy says that nothing is impossible for him and is going to try to do it. The police chief just woke up and doesn't understand what the hell this kid is doing next to the ghost of a killer girl. He loses consciousness again, and our hero tries to get these damn nails, but he can't. The girl said that it's impossible, but our hero is clearly not going to leave it like this and asks the girl to lie down on the floor. The girl is clearly not comfortable on the floor. Suddenly, a ghost appears and says that these nails are buried deep in her soul. He is clearly not going to help him pull them out. This is a barter of 5 elements that is done directly on the heart. And yet our ghost orders that the gates that hold the girl open, and suddenly a nail comes out of the girl's heart, covering our hero with a strange red aura. The girl activated her abilities and threw our hero several meters away. The boy thinks that something is wrong with the girl and asks if everything is okay with her. But at that very second, she attacks him with her claws and a terrible aura. But he just grabs her hand and says that she needs to keep pulling out these nails one by one. Together with the ghost, they pulled out the nails, thereby destroying the gate of the 5 elements. It was clearly difficult for our hero to pronounce long spells. Suddenly, the ghost screams for the guy not to touch the nail that sticks out of her head because that's where the Heavenly Palace is located, and it can be dangerous. But our hero could no longer be stopped, and the ghost began to read a spell to pull this damn nail out of the Heavenly Palace and throw it away. The police, meanwhile, decided to hug the objects that were closest to them and wait for this whole nightmare to end. Now that the seal of the 5 elements was removed, the girl instantly began to evolve into the demon gender. The police began to be thrown in different directions. They urgently needed to protect our main character because all the sensors were broken from a large amount of energy. But Chino has always decided to turn on the full mode, and it turns out that he is a bird. Having lost control of this plane, Mr. Beast flies out the window, and the police chief does not have time to catch him. It turns out that this damn plane still doesn't know how to land and is now in a state of uncontrollable fall. But suddenly, that ghost girl appears and catches our hero with her aura. She brings him back to the police, safe and sound. The captain was very worried about the condition of our hero, but Chino wanted to brag more that he had just flown. But suddenly his face changes dramatically, and some strange aura passes through him. A little cherry juice begins to flow out of his hand, and he thinks that he will soon die. But the captain was more scared because he thought that he had a mortal wound. Suddenly, the girl begins to tell stories that her grandmother once told her. If suddenly an evil spirit wants to be with a person and at the same time causes him harm with his negative energy, in this case, it would be possible to conclude a ghost contract. Our hero, more worried about his cut finger, the tears in his eyes, begins to yell at this fool because it was she who injured his beautiful finger. In gratitude for the fact that the boy saved her from the curse of the 5 elements, she agrees to enter into a contract with the man and become his guide. Our ghost is very happy about this because the girl agreed to enter into a contract with this boy absolutely free of charge. Touching her forehead, the whole room begins to glow with a red-blue light, and in one moment, the girl turns from an ugly ghost into a very pretty girl. Our main character clearly likes this arrangement. Chapter 6. The ghost tells the boy not to be like a little girl. Now he will heal his incredibly deep wounds. As soon as his scratch goes away, he begins to run and rejoice, and the girl turns to the police, saying Chino was playing the fool. The ghost girl bows her head in front of the police and begins to cast a spell. He is clearly happy because he thinks that he has become a superhero with instant regeneration, but suddenly an evil aura appears from his back. It turns out that the ghost girl simply thanked them for saving her and disappeared. Can this be considered a successful completion of the mission? All the police start running around our hero and doing various poses from the anime JoJo because he was incredibly cool in this battle. The captain cries with pride. He didn't think that even after defeating 2 strong ghosts, he would be able to defeat the ghost girl. He is his savior. For reference, I'll tell you that after the ghosts of evil spirits appeared, they began to be divided into different levels. Their department can so far only cope with the weakest. They could only handle weak ghosts and transferred the stronger ones to a special department. But now a new superhero appeared on their team. The actions are transferred to the office, where the captain speaks on the phone so that his requests for help are canceled. Now they don't need their help. Finally, he angrily hangs up the phone and says that all their support should go to hell. Now they have their own ghost killing machine. He was clearly happy that after so many years of working in this department, he was finally able to express everything he thought about these freaks from the special department. The captain puts his career ladder on our main character, and meanwhile he is fast asleep on his sofa. Bento on the table begins to smell throughout the boss's entire room, smelling this incredible aroma. The boy instantly wakes up. He was about to enjoy his food, but he finds some kind of damn note. He even jumps with joy because now he is finally recognized as a brave warrior, defender of this damn planet. The boy received incredible pleasure from this food, and the note contained a letter from the main headquarters telling the boy to eat and that they were proud of his achievements. The action moves to the office, where the girl receives calls from civilians. The anti-host department is already in touch. While the girl is trying to figure out the person's problem, our main character sneaks up on her unnoticed and wants to steal a bottle of soda. He makes a very pitiful face and says that now he's just dying of thirst. Can he take this? She didn't understand where this crazy guy came from and decided that if she gave him the soda, he'd just leave. But suddenly, the guy gets up and says that he won't take this bottle for free. He will draw out a special protective talisman for the girl. He proudly declares that the girl should be grateful to him because this talisman will protect her entire family. The entire department was watching this psycho. Another policeman also wants to get such a talisman, but when he sees that the guy drew a fish with bubbles there, he calls it simply abnormal. He wants to sell out of line and makes the excuse that he needs to go on an important task soon. The crew is clearly not happy with the fact that some idiot is jumping the queue. In general, everyone has their own important things to do. The captain notices all this chaos and tries to understand what the hell is going on there. We are shown a boy who was surrounded by a bunch of different tasty things from the cafeteria and didn't know why he needed them all. The police officers came to our hero with offerings as if to some deity and begged him to draw protection talismans for them. It turns out that they sold out all the products that were in the nearest supermarkets, and now the whole area was left without products. They were a little unhappy with the fact that all the mascots looked different, but one guy actually had different figures drawn. The captain enters the room and coughs loudly to attract attention. Everyone gets scared and tries to explain what is happening here, and some even want to leave the crime scene. The bald dude is just our hero drawing as many characters as possible. Does he really doubt his ghostly abilities? The captain approaches this dude from behind and asks what the hell is he doing here. He quickly kicks all the police out of the boy's room and tells them to run to work and not suffer from nonsense. But it turns out he did this specifically so that our main character would draw more protective talismans for him. Chino sits in the pose of a mafia boss and shows the boss his offerings. The captain says that he was in too much of a hurry and didn't have time to buy sweets for him. But in return, he gives him money so he can buy a lot of delicious food with it. Our hero says that he did not expect anything different from his colleague and asks him to take some sweets from the table. Today he is serving them. He diligently begins to draw talismans and tells the boss to eat all the sweets because he doesn't really like them. But he says that he himself doesn't like sweets, so it's better to let our hero eat everything himself. Shino tells him to take his talisman, and the police chief is surprised that it is incredibly big. But the policeman forgot to tell him one more small thing. There is a serial killer operating on the Eastern Bridge, and the main headquarters ordered the two of them to deal with him. Shino immediately salutes and says that he will immediately carry out the orders of headquarters. Night falls and the action moves to the Eastern Bridge. For several nights in a row, people have been dying here, and the police cannot identify the culprit or are paranormal forces involved. This man was found here without a head. This is already the 36th murder in a month, and they urgently need to determine the identity of the killer. The chief of police is counting on our hero and asks if he has any guesses, but he does not notice anything special. Then the boss asks Chino to carefully examine this long bridge. Without hesitation, he immediately runs across the fence and runs to investigate the murder, but halfway there, he stumbles and hits his head on the ground. The police thought it was a ghost attack and had already prepared their weapons, but the chief told them to wait. It was a false alarm, he just tripped. Chapter 7. He asks everyone to return to their original positions. She asks if everything is okay with our boy, but cherry juice starts flowing right out of his nose, and he almost bursts into tears. He bursts into tears in front of the entire department, and everyone begins to calm our boy down. But suddenly, our ghost appears and says that danger is approaching. A cloud of black smoke with evil eyes appears behind our heroes. The ghost is still yelling that danger is coming, and the little girl must appear and protect him. Suddenly, a powerful aura bursts out of our hero's body, and that ghost girl comes out to fight for them all. The policemen are frightened by the appearance of the killer girl and begin to run headlong. They see another ominous aura and realize that the company of the ghost girl is not so bad. It was a ghost with the face of an animal. When the police see how huge it is, they simply hide behind the little girl. Our ghost tells us that this is the middle stage of a half-demon, the spirit of a tiger. He hunts for prey, tracking it by the smell of cherry juice. Apparently, it was the cherry juice from our hero's nose that attracted him here. This ghost killed a bunch of people and created his new ghostly claws, incredibly powerful. Our ghost said that the girl will not be able to cope with him, but decides to try anyway. She makes a lasso out of her aura and wraps it around the tiger ghost's neck. She tried to take him on a leash. He was too strong for her and simply tore her aura. Our girl has 17 kills to her name, while the ghost tiger has more than 100. She is definitely not his rival. If we assume that he will now kill all the police, that he will have already killed 250 people, and everyone suddenly wanted to run home to mommy. The tiger ghost swings his paw and is about to kill all the employees. The guy with blue hair remembers that a few years ago, Tiger escaped from the zoo and was killed on this bridge. He urgently needs to report to the special department, but this beast is clearly not going to just watch them come up with a plan and hit them with its paws. All the policemen were surprised because there was not a single scratch on them, and some strange drawings were flying around. It turns out that the protective talismans that our main character made actually work, although they look very strange. The tiger ghost is a little confused that his attack didn't hit them, but he's happy to hit them a few more times. The police captain is trying to cheer up his comrades because as long as they have this magical barrier, their lives are safe. All the employees started screaming and showing their mascots with strange children's drawings. They will definitely win if they can hold out, and everyone returns home. They poke the tiger with protective talismans and try to intimidate him, but this did not particularly bother him. Suddenly, a hand appears in front of the beast's head and does Gojo's move Satoru, who must destroy him, but no. Our main character simply hits him on the forehead with his injure to calm him down a little. All the police were a little shocked that the boy decided to hit the powerful ghosts so recklessly. The police chief also didn't understand what the hell this kid was doing. It was very brazen to punch the ghost in the face, and he clearly got angry, after which he growled and threw everyone away from him. Our ghost says that the matter smells of frying. The ghost of the tiger is angry, and its strength has increased 3 times. We need to quickly get out of here. The police officers saw that the ghost had almost destroyed the barrier, and they needed to run away from here. They asked that Chinov did not lag behind them, but as always, he managed to stumble out of the blue. The ghost of the tiger decided to take advantage of such moments and finish off this bastard who hit him in the face. The police captain thought that the boy was already finished and would need to look for a new special warrior, but suddenly a dark magical aura appeared. It was our ghost girl, who was trying to hold back this damn beast so that the others will run away. She screams at this big kitten so that he doesn't dare eat your owner, after which she lifts him into the air and throws him out as if he were a toy. The girl says that he can eat the police. Meanwhile, the police are shocked by the body of a huge ghost tiger flying towards them. Shino is already tired of sitting on the sidelines and he wants to deal with this overgrown cat. Our hero approaches him and pulls out a piece of fur, saying that now it will become his personal mount and will help him in battles. But the ghost tries to warn him that this is a tiger and not a cat, and you can't just tear out its fur. They obviously don't like it. Suddenly, the ghost of a tiger rises and switches to our hero. Our little ghost thinks that now Chino has definitely come to an end. A small ghost tries to pull our hero away from the clutches of this beast and helps him dodge attacks. Finally, our hero got angry. He just wanted to tame this animal and give him a home. But if a tiger wants to devour him, he will have no mercy. Our ghost decides that since the hero has gained such courage, he needs to increase the strength of his fists several thousand times, and at that very second, Chino punches Saitama right in the damn tiger's teeth. The tiger ghost immediately becomes an obedient kitten and even begins to meow. But our main character still hasn't dealt with him and jumping up is about to strike another blow at this cat, Kujo's stand. He begins to hit Jaro with Star Platinum and knocks everything he can out of the cat. Previously, the police looked at the boy as if he was sick, but now they understand that he is a damn psycho who can destroy ghosts. The tiger clearly no longer resisted and simply accepted all the blows that our main character makes. He raises a white flag and says that he is not going to fight anymore. Shino is happy because he thinks that if the cat gave up, then he learned a new skill for taming animals. Our hero asks the girl to come up and meet the new family member. Now they will have their own tame cat that follows commands. But they were both a little shocked when they realized that the ghost cat could fly. The guy with blue hair began to think that Chino simply decided to escape from them with the help of this tiger. The police captain himself sees this perfectly well and gives the order to catch up with them, but how are they supposed to catch the flying ghost? The captain absolutely doesn't care how they do it, even if the whole city is turned upside down, but Chino must return to their squad. The beast is a multi-million-dollar plane, and the process of taming the beast increased. Chapter 8. Our main character hit the tiger on the head and shouted at him to fly as quickly as possible. He decided to arrange a fun adventure for our heroes and take them for a ride at the second cosmic speed so that their faces would become distorted. 5 minutes later, flew over a psychiatric hospital. Our heroes had a lot of fun today, but now Chino thinks it's time to go to bed. But he completely forgot that the assigned animal would need a leash so that it would not run away. He actually put a leash on him and said that from now on he can be considered a tethered animal. The tiger clearly didn't like the fact that now he would be on this guy's leash, and the ghost girl just silently watched everything from the side. The boy tied him to the nearest post and gave him a bell around his neck. The ghost girl couldn't understand how he tied him with air and how long had she been dead. The main character scratched the tiger's nose and said that from now on this place will be his home. While the beast is under the protection of the brave warrior Chino, then no one can even touch this beast with a finger. He shakes out his hands and says that since the job is done, it's time for our hero to go to bed, and he says goodnight to his new pet. But as soon as he had to move a few meters away, the tiger decided that he could escape and flew into the air. But suddenly, the leash turned from thin air into a rope that did not allow our cat to escape, all this thanks to the will of the owner of the beast. Our ghost congratulates our hero because the process of taming the mount has been finally completed. The next morning, the nurse wakes up our hero screaming and doesn't understand what the hell he's doing here, and he thinks it's time for breakfast. He went to the police station, so why did he come back? But he says that the police did not abandon him, and he came of his own free will. The girl notices wounds on the guy's hand and thinks that he was bullied and beaten at the police station. But our hero almost burst into tears, but still proudly said that he just tripped and fell. The girl still thinks that while the guy is with the police, he is in danger. He will definitely tell the chief doctor everything. He will not leave it just like that. The action moves to the chief doctor's office, where he argues with the police captain AP. He is waiting for an explanation of how one mentally ill person was able to escape from the police. The policeman wants to tell him a story about how they fought a ghost tiger on the bridge yesterday, but the head doctor interrupts him and says that he is not going to listen to excuses. Had they really been machinations of him all night and didn't even think that he just returned to the hospital after a long story? The head doctor could not believe what he heard, and deathly silence reigned in the room. Meanwhile, our main character was sitting in the courtyard on a bench, singing different songs and thinking how wonderful life is. Suddenly, a ghost appears and says that they urgently need to cure his psychological disorder, but the boy seemed to ignore him. At one point, he simply cannot stand it and throws the ghost away so that it will be silent. Suddenly, a lady policeman appears and our ghost says that the 43rd attempt at treatment ended in failure. Our hero is clearly glad to see this girl. He looked for her in the office, but she says that she was not at her workplace for a long time because she went to the hospital. The boy at first doesn't understand why she went there, but the girl says that he was right. She really has an incurable disease that Chino was talking about. She told the boy, boasts of his eyesight, and the girl admits that he is truly a unique person and asks him for forgiveness for calling him crazy. But he just gets up from the bench and proudly shouts to the whole hospital that he doesn't care about the words of a dying girl. But since they are no longer at odds, the boy invites her to become friends. The girl just started crying and said that it was impossible, and our main character didn't understand what the hell was happening. The doctor told her that she had very little time left, but she didn't want to die. She just started to like police work and wants to fight evil spirits with others. True, the girl is of little use, and as a rule, others have to protect her from ghosts. Her lips begin to tremble from helplessness, and she says that she cannot protect others because she cannot even protect herself. But bursting into tears, she declares that she cannot simply accept her weakness. Our main character makes a thoughtful expression and looks at the girl carefully. Chino says that this is not a problem for the great warrior of this planet, and the girl thinks that this psychopath will be able to cure her of a terrible disease. He says that, of course, he can cope with such a task and shows her a bottle of water. The boy begins to make strange shamanic movements, but our ghost says that he is not going to deceive the girl. He is an honest spirit and does not engage in fraud. The boy starts yelling at the water, and our ghost still plays along with his madness and turns it into healing water, handing her a bottle of holy water. He says that if the girl drinks this, her health will noticeably improve. The police girl looks carefully at the bottle of water and thinks that this is the water with which, in ancient times, even mortal wounds were healed. The lady thought that something red flashed in the bottle for a second, but the boy told her not to think and drank the water in one gulp. The fatal disease will not go away on its own, and she simply drinks this water, but suddenly she starts coughing and choking. Apparently, there was something wrong with the water. Chapter 9. Our main character looked with enthusiasm at the girl's healing process, but the girl just made a strange face and said that there was sand in the water. It seems that she didn't feel anything special. The guy said that the girl was most likely cheating because, judging by his observations, the illness had already passed. She thanked our main character and said that she would definitely visit him as soon as she had free time. As she left, the girl wiped away her tears because she was already completely desperate. Did she really expect that this guy would cure her? He was just mentally ill. Shinov didn't understand why the lady left and burst into tears. Was she really so glad that she drank the healing water? He just gets up and bathes in the rays of the sun, thinking that he is a real hero because by sacrificing himself, he constantly saves people's lives. Along the way, the girl accidentally met the chief of police. It turns out that he came because of her resignation letter. Does she really think that he will accept it? The lady wanted to tell him that she would soon pass away and there was no point in working. but he interrupted her and said that he had known about this for a long time. He knows very well that, due to the nature of their work with ghosts, she began to have serious health problems from the day the evil spirits appeared. Protecting the peace of ordinary citizens became their direct responsibility, and it was precisely for this reason that they fought so hard against these creatures tirelessly. The boss understands much better than others how hard the girl tried and completely devoted herself to her work. The girl completely devoted herself to serving in the police and fighting ghosts, and although now she will no longer be able to fight, the police will never leave her alone. This is why the boss is not going to accept his resignation. Their ghost police department will forever remain a family. He says that the department will consider that the girl is on vacation for a long time. If she wants, she can go somewhere or buy herself new things. The department will pay for everything. The girl clearly deserved a little rest, and let her consider this as gratitude from her boss for the best service of a talented employee. The girl says with tears in her eyes that she clearly heard the captain's order and finally salutes him. Then he approached our main character, who was still bathing in the rays of the sun. The boss asks him to get off the bench and see what he brought him. It turns out that he brought a mobile phone for him. Our main character was simply shocked because now he received a new means of communication from this planet. It turns out that the damn chief doctor refused to take the kid to the police station, but they still need to be in touch to fight the ghosts. Chino has probably been in this mental hospital for too long and doesn't know how to use a mobile phone at all. Then the captain will teach him. The action is transferred to a police car, where a very strange case was discussed that the ordinary police department does not want to take on. Chino sent the captain photos of how they were playing in a mental hospital, and he thought it was strange. But after all, he was a sick child. The guy with blue hair wanted to know what bothered our captain so much, but he simply dodged the answer. Our main character constantly called him and asked to contact him because he had incredibly important information, but Chino said that the tiger of the universe had been revealed to him and that 1 + 1 would equal 2. After such important information, the captain simply threw his phone out the window. Night fell, and our main character lay in the ward all alone and could not sleep. His only interlock here was a ghost girl. He wanted to go for a walk so badly, but he couldn't just leave the hospital grounds. But the girl simply showed the appropriate gesture and silently began to help our hero. She would get a very long rope from her aura, and with the help of it, our hero was able to climb out through the window to his personal transport. With his appearance, the hero really scared the tiger, but he asked him to be quiet until the doctors realized that he had run away. And so, having saddled his faithful horse, our hero, together with his girlfriend, set off in search of adventure. Suddenly, the girl noticed a very strange man, and the boy decided to go and check him out. He decides that now it would be better to hide so that this eccentric would not notice them, but the tiger really wanted to eat. They chose the best place to hide and saw a strange man walking down the street and carrying a girl on his shoulder. No matter how strange it may be, he notices the secret hiding place of our heroes and turns in their direction. How did he manage to discover it? The dude didn't even stop at our heroes and just moved on with his important business. Chino beat his pet because it was because of this that the stupid people discovered them, but their heads remain in the most visible place. The girl says that that guy's aura is too weak. Even people who are near death have much stronger energy. To clarify, this aura is located on people's shoulders and forehead and characterizes their vital energy. Our hero wanted to find out why the girl doesn't have such an aura, but ghosts shouldn't have it. But Chino does. At first, the boy does not understand why he does not see his own power, but the ghost helps him and activates the eyes of the heavenly eye. Our hero was afraid that this aura would kill him, but if he continued to hit his shoulders like that, he would definitely die. But the girl wanted to continue to follow that strange guy, but our hero simply grabs his entire team and says that they will definitely pursue this guy. He really wants to look at his aura. Having run after this guy, they eventually came to some temple and hid behind the wall. As soon as the doors opened, they immediately ran after this strange guy. Our hero tried to enter the temple, but the doors slammed right in his face, and he simply crashed into them with his face, apparently getting very hurt. That dude went into a temple where a bunch of ghosts were sitting and waiting for him to bring them a new victim. I wonder what he brought them today. This guy resolutely declares that he has come to get even, and this time he is putting his life on the line again, but the ghosts were only amused by this guy's words. Chapter 10. There wasn't much vital energy left in him, but he threw the girl on the floor and said that he would put her life on the line. Maybe then that would be enough. She woke up and saw a phantom standing before her eyes, looking at her angrily. She started screaming and trying to get out of the ropes, but she couldn't. The ghosts were only pleased with the new victim, and they happily agreed to play with this idiot again. What a disgusting man he is. In order to win his life, he is ready to sacrifice the life of an innocent girl. But this dude is just screaming that he only has a few days left to live, so let the girl blame her bad luck for the fact that he got her. Meanwhile, our little ghost warns the main character not to go to that place. It is too dangerous, and there is a huge amount of negative energy. But Shano simply throws the ghost away and says that he will definitely find out what kind of nonsense is happening in this temple. Our hero decided that it would be much easier to climb over the fence, but the ghost realized that he was a complete idiot and never listened to him. With the help of the tiger, they finally managed to cross the fence and are now heading to the main building of this temple. That dude confidently says that this time he will definitely be able to get his life back, and our main character asks his team to be quiet and let him listen. But when he tried to look through the window, he couldn't see anything. They sat down to play dominoes where the stakes were their own lives. Suddenly, the bald guy shouts out that he has won once again, and that dude begins to curse everything because he had such good chips. He wants to invite these signs to play another game, but now he has to give the bald guy 30 years. He fell completely into despair, and the ghost began to laugh at him because his face had completely changed. These crazy people continued the game and forced him to place even larger bets so that he would be stressed and lose. Coming out of the temple, he was shaking with fear because he had lost once again, and this time he would definitely come to an end. Our hero notices that the lights on his shoulders have become much smaller, but the ghost explains that gambling will never lead to a good result. Suddenly, a strange voice called Chino, and our ghost, a scary lady, decided that it would be a good idea to invite our hero to play a game of dominoes with them. He gets up and says that it's a shame that he was discovered, how embarrassed he is that he snuck into their temple without an invitation. The ghost girl tried to dissuade the guy from playing with these freaks, but he said that he would just quickly take a look at what was going on there. The lady will ask the boy to sit down with them at the table and feel at home. Others boasted that today they were very lucky to win big. Suddenly, his foot stumbles over some strange contraption. This turns out to be the same girl that freak brought here and left for dead. The ghost asks not to pay attention to her, let him sit down and place a bet. No matter what he wants, money, health, or anything else, they can give him everything. But Chenjo is more interested in what the guy who played with him before him put on. The lady comes up to him and says that that idiot decided to put his own life together with the life of that girl. If suddenly our main character loses and their lives will belong to them. But what will happen if he wins? If he wins, he will be able to make his deepest wish, and the ghost will happily fulfill his whim. The ghost is trying to dissuade this idiot because gambling won't lead to anything good. It's better if they just finish off these ghosts and be done with it. Our hero asks a very strange question about the game of turtles, and all the ghosts sat down in complete shock. What does this strange guy mean? But our hero talks about a game called the Turtle Belt. This is the only game he can play and asks to bring cards from an entire deck. You need to remove one joker and 3 8s, leaving one joker and 1 8. After which the cards are dealt and everyone must draw a card from their neighbor. If a pair is made, it is thrown out. The one who has an 8 and a joker loses. Our hero is having a lot of fun, but it seems to him that they did not understand the rules of the game. But the ghosts said that they understood everything and were ready to start the game. But as soon as the cards were dealt, our guy got both an 8 and a joker. The ghost thought that Shino has absolutely no luck in card games. Apparently, our little ghost will have to intervene again. The dude pulls out one of our heroes, but at the same time he uses X-ray vision and knows where which card is. The ghost intervenes again and stops the damn ghost from peeking at the cards. His hands rarely began to shake because his X-ray vision didn't work, but why are these the most ordinary cards? Our hero becomes bored, and the ghost declares that while he is here, he will not allow these freaks to cheat. The dude had already started to draw another card when suddenly our ghost simply took and replaced this card with a joker. The guy is simply shocked because now he understands that our main character is not so simple. The players looked at each other and said that he could not look through the cards of this small kid, but they would come up with something. After one lap, the 8 also fell into the hands of this dude and he was clearly tense, but the bald guy says that they will definitely return it to him. Our hero is clearly happy and boasts that he will soon win his wish, and the ghost flies around with a happy face. Shino reaches out to pull out a card from the lady and thinks about which one he should choose. The girl made an obviously cunning face because more than one person had never managed to win the game. Our boy chose a card and was about to take it, but the girl's face became more and more cunning with every second. At first, our hero draws the joker, but the ghost as always comes to our aid. At the moment, he replaces the cards between himself and our hero. He collects a pair of cards, he has won his wish. He stood up from the table, screaming and said that it was a very difficult game, but his victory was fair. No one even understood what happened. The girl was left with a joker and an 8, which means she lost. But she couldn't understand that the cards were changed before her eyes because she saw the boy drawing a joker. Suddenly, life energy begins to leave their bodies, and they experience incredible pain from this. They decided that the guy came here specifically to fool them and sits here with a smug smile and laughs at them. But suddenly, one of the candles goes out and the doors to the temple close. Now he won't get out of here. Chapter 11. The ghost drove the guy into a corner, and at that moment he realized that his wish was not going to be fulfilled. There is no way out, and our ghost takes the form of a knight to protect our hero from these monsters. But apparently, Jumgo absolutely still thinks that it was just a strong wind that slammed the doors. The guy just touches the doors, but suddenly Saitama's powers turn on and he just knocks them down, laughing nervously. He says that these guys have very flimsy doors and that he didn't do it on purpose. But these guys are angry at the guy not because he broke the door, but because he cheated in card games. The ghost is surprised that these bad guys decided to activate their abilities, but he uses the call of an assistant. At the same second, two Pokemon appear, our faithful pet and a little girl. Now we will definitely show them who the daddy is. The enemies are clearly shocked that the number of rivals has increased sharply and a huge cat has appeared in the middle of the room. But suddenly, our main character hits the tiger on the nose and tells him that you can't growl at people like that. It's not cultural. The tiger is clearly offended that his owner scolded him, and Chino asked the little girl to get a couple of sweets from his hiding place. But he quietly whispered to her to get the most tasteless ones and just a little. What a greedy person. The ghost team is still in shock. The last time they saw the ghost tiger on the bridge, he just attacked them, and now he looks like a pet. The boy hands these guys sweets as an apology and asks for forgiveness at the door, after which he offers to play one more time. Our main character looks clearly pleased because he is spending time in such a pleasant company at such a late hour. We can say that they are already good friends. The ghosts still don't understand what the hell is going on here, but they are simply terrified of the kid. It would be better to just do as he wants and wait for him to leave. Shinov does the countdown and takes photos of his friends on his brand new iPhone. Meanwhile, at the police station, the captain was yawning after a very hard day at work. He understands that after all, a person cannot work tirelessly. It would be better if he passes this work on to young people. They will cope with it. While scrolling through his Instagram feed, he comes across a very strange photo, realizing that this photo showed our main character along with a bunch of scary ghosts. He even threw away his phone and put all his business aside. The police captain immediately decided to look up information about these ghosts in the police database. These three demons are demons of passion that make people sell their lives in an endless game. How Chino managed to contact them at all. At the same second, the captain presses the red button and raises the alarm, after which he yells into the microphone for all the employees to get into their cars and go to the operation. Meanwhile, our main character was having a great time in the company of ghosts of criminals. He once again beat these losers. They understand that Chino is cheating, but they can't understand how he already won that girl's life. Back at this rate, he will take their lives too. It can't go on like this. The evil ghosts have to come up with something. The short guy tells our hero to draw the card first. Our little ghost asks the hero to wait a little. Something's not clear here, but it was too late to warn. As soon as the boy touched the cards, some kind of green aura appeared and dragged him away. The boy is a little shocked and doesn't understand where they were transported, but the ghost explains that the ghost got angry and awakened the expansion of the territory they are in, their life memories. It is likely that these creatures are going to finish off our hero in their expansion of the territory, and the ghost asks the boy to quickly leave here, but he simply picked his nose and then heard strange sounds and paid attention to them. Our hero had already run away, and the ghost had to follow him. This place is too dangerous for him to walk around so openly. Shino came across some crowd who were shouting about some L or thief. He was so ugly that they did not understand whether he was a person. The poor boy was lying on the ground, completely beaten and crying. He said that he had not committed theft and that all the accusations were false. Suddenly, our main character turns on his full mode and jumps above the crowd with terrible screams. He gets into an epic JoJo pose and asks the townspeople what the hell is going on here. Shino simply takes out a deck of cards and begins to show various tricks, but the crowd clearly considered him to be another crazy person and decided to move away so as not to catch the infection. Our main character simply grabs the short guy by the hand and says that he wants to continue playing cards with him, so we need to get away from here. Our ghost thought that the guy became an evil ghost because people treated him terribly, but the hero just showed him the other side of the coin. The short man suddenly became sad because during his life no one had ever stood up for him. He abruptly took his hand away from the main character, and Chino doesn't understand what the hell he's doing. Shorty shows him the open portal and tells him to go into it and return to the real world, where they will be waiting for him. The action moves to some kind of palace. The lady who wanted to beat our hero at cards sat near the table with tea and looked at the girl. She must have been performing for a very long time and her throat was dry. This lady started praising her incredible dance with a staff. Suddenly, the inspector burst into the room with his soldiers, and our ladies didn't understand what the hell they were doing here. But the inspector didn't even bother to investigate and just hit her in the face. How dare she steal people behind his back? While one of the girls was lying on the floor, the inspector decided to continue his series of blows and deal with the other lady. After this, he orders his guys to take the two into custody. Our main character also pretended to be one of the soldiers, but he was more worried about two questions. What the hell is going on here, and when will they play cards? Chapter 12. It turns out that there was a man hiding under the mask. He was severely beaten by the police because he started dating the inspector's wife, but the girl simply didn't understand what the hell the inspector was talking about. But he thought that the lady decided to just pretend to be a fool, like she didn't understand anything, and kicked her. Even the police stopped beating that guy because they were shocked that the inspector hit his wife, so that she flew several meters away. That guy covered the lady with his body and said that this freak doesn't dare touch the girl. He forcibly married her, and now he's doing a terrible thing. He's not afraid of the pathetic inspector. He began to calm the poor girl and looked angrily at the inspector with the intention of killing him. But the policeman simply laughed at this act, after which he took out his pistol and was about to finish off this loving couple. If these two love each other so much, then he will allow them to be together. Let these creatures go to hell together. The dude is really shocked that the situation has gone so far. He clearly did not expect that the inspector would decide to kill him. But suddenly, our main character appears and, like a real warhead, crashes into the police inspector and prevents him from killing the lovers. From such a powerful blow, the ribs were broken, and the inspector's face was twisted in pain like in Mortal Kombat. Was our hero so impatient to play cards that he decided to take such a bold step? But he still bowed to his opponent as a sign of respect. It turns out that the inspector was bald all this time, and Chino told this billiard ball to let go of his card partner. The inspector didn't understand what the hell this was and why the hell he allowed himself to do this. Maybe he was tired of living. The main character has finished his countdown, and now this bald guy is clearly in trouble. He turned out to be a real coward and ordered his partners to grab this freak and kill him. The boy escaped as best he could from the clutches of these freaks and cursed him because they interrupted his card game, and the loving couple watched all this. Suddenly, the girl just started laughing loudly at this whole situation, and her boyfriend couldn't understand. Maybe the girl had gone crazy too, but for the first time in her short life, she had so much fun. She could never even think that someone could go against the police inspector. She was clearly inspired by the action of our main character. And now she realized that she was not going to live in a cage with this freak all her life and asked the guy to escape with her. Inspiration was transferred to this guy, and he happily agrees to his beloved's proposal, but he begins to reach for his stick and says that first he will need to deal with the inspector because this is the only way the girl will gain freedom. Taking the spear in his hands, he proudly declares that from this day on, the girl will become his official wife, and now they will be together until death do them part. This guy is infused with the spirit of a real spearman, and he flies into the crowd of policemen and throws them from right and left. Our main character watches his movements and realizes that this dude is incredibly cool, and the ghost is just flying around with a smile. Suddenly, our ghost thought that they were in the memories of those ghosts, but the main character could die here. But at the same time, he changes their memories. The dude gets into an epic pose and says that if a person doesn't like the fate that is given to him, then he should just spread his wings and fly to the ends of the world. After which he decides to change his fate and throws a spear at the inspector to end the life of this creature. But suddenly, one of the assistant inspectors appears and says that only today will he die here, after which he is going to cut off his head. He uses Tanjiro's demon slashing blade move and uses it to cut the head off the guy's shoulders. From the look of our hero, one can clearly understand that he did not expect such an end to the battle. Seeing her lover's head fall to the ground, the girl begins screaming like crazy. Suddenly, the location changes dramatically, and we are shown that Chino and the girl were tied to the fire. Our main character fell asleep and just woke up. The lady decided to ask our boy for forgiveness as a farewell. Her lover died in battle, and now she doesn't have much time left. She also dragged our hero into this. At one point, the girl lost all her motivation and still admitted that they would never defeat fate. Our ghost also says that, unfortunately, they were not able to change the ending, but our hero watches the birds fly in the sky. A whole crowd had already gathered who wanted the girl to be burned at the stake as soon as possible. How could she betray such a good person as the inspector? When the crowd says, "We need to end all this already," and throws the torch directly into the fire. Our hero clearly does not like this kind of global warming. At one point, he makes the face of a real Sigma and says that all these freaks are already sick of him. With one sharp move, he breaks all the ropes and yells that he still hasn't finished playing cards with his ghost friends. Our ghost is clearly not happy that this idiot is still thinking about that damn card game. He begins to give a motivational speech that this couple in love is not guilty of anything. From these words, the girl begins to cry. The ghost pumps up the physical capabilities of our hero and makes it so that he can lift the table to which they were tied. Shinov declares that these damn townspeople are to blame for everything and begins to wave his huge torch. He tries with all his might to protect the girl from the crowd, but she just sits and doesn't understand what kind of superhuman strength this guy has. Our hero decided to punish the entire city and burn their houses to the ground. They rather carried water to save at least part of the city. Like a real tough guy, he doesn't look at the house and simply leaves the city because the ghostly space will soon disappear. Finally, the souls of ghosts would be free. If only someone like Chen had appeared, then why wouldn't their hearts be filled with hatred? But our hero tells them goodbye, that if someone insults them, they just need to hit back. It's so simple. The ghosts agree with our guy with a smile, but he knows only one thing for sure. These people were not crazy. This whole world is crazy and makes people the same. After these words, our hero leaves the ghosts. The action is again transferred to the place where they play card games. Our hero said that he had already stopped stalling and the ghost should quickly draw the card. But he says that he suddenly lost all interest in card games, winning or losing no longer matters to him. But suddenly, our main character grabs him and asks him to repeat the terrible words he said. He just starts yelling at the short, fat guy and says that this dude just started losing and that's why he decided to give up. But deep down, he would never do that. Instead, with a dramatic flair, our hero scoops up the bewildered ghost and unceremoniously throws him onto the table, his actions punctuating his words. In such cases, let's continue the game. The room falls into stunned silence, everyone taken aback by this bizarre turn of events. Shino, unfazed by the chaos around him, steps forward with a triumphant grin. He produces a meticulously drawn map, the colors vibrant and the paths winding with promise. With this map, he declares, victory will be mine. So let's start applauding my inevitable success. His confidence radiates and the ghosts can only sit in stunned disbelief, watching as this already eccentric man spirals further into madness. The atmosphere grows thick with tension, the ghosts exchanging worried glances. They had witnessed many things in their time, but a living human boldly challenging them to a card game while flaunting a magical map was a new level of insanity.